Hello, welcome to today's collective general reading. As always, remember to use your own discernment, join with intention, and allow the message to be received with an open heart. A quantum reminder, we are speaking through symbol and story here, so please do not rely on tarot readings for factual evidence. You are always encouraged to do your own research, especially when engaging with strangers on the internet. Different energy, love it. I think I'm over equipped. So let's see what needs to be removed. These cards had come up, was it yesterday? And I had tucked them aside. We have the 3 of Swords and then the 8 of Swords. 3 with the 8 gives you 10 plus 1. We're at this new beginning. And the sense of the energy on this one I'm getting is like, put a bit of stank on it. Like it's clear, but that does not mean it is translucent. It is equipped, I'm hearing, but that does not mean it has all been prepared. I think this is going to be some channeling, so I'm not exactly sure where we're going with this. But there's something about where you were to where you are. And where are we? We are after that damn 7 of Swords. that energy that's been tailing us for nearly a year, I would say. It's been showing up in the readings. And so you have perhaps an access point. ACCESS for access. Which is different to what you have now, which is an axis point. AXIS. You've gone through this transformation and you are now at a place to swivel. You have more flexibility. Your practice is reflexive. You know, if you've been watching me for any amount of time, you know that I'm a social scientist. And grappling with the process of blending these worlds, the mystic and the social context is how I frame it. And let's see what this is. 8 of Wands. So this is something that is occurring rather fast. This is a quick ascension. I'm getting a lot of words with A's, access, axis, ascension. We're talking about the beginning of a book note story. And that last swivel shuffle is back. So perhaps that's this new energy. We have the 9 of Pentacles with the Queen of Swords. Now, the Queen of Swords has been coming up in readings recently as where you are now. And so you can see this, you know, if you want to use anamorph language, the covers of those books, how it went from kid to beast. You're at the second last. You're just before a full transition to beast. But what it is that you are becoming is your Queen of Swords. Never again shackled down. Having faith and knowing that you don't need to rely on faith because you exist within faith. King of Cups and Justice. Justice, I am getting divine timing, but I'm also seeing here with the scales. The scales balancing with the sword. So it's time for you to speak, hearing it's time for you to come out. What are you coming out with as? That will be revealed in time. You have been, what's another phrase for like master, again, the colonial language of it all, mastering your emotions, conquering your emotional depth. What's another way that I can say it that isn't founded on violence, but perhaps it is founded on harm and pain. And okay, so blending more into the social context, talking about being settlers, being white people on stolen lands. Having this sense of security, a self-security. It is our responsibility as a collective, yes, and as individuals first. It is our individual responsibility to ensure that our path to success is not bridged, built on top of a foundation of harming others. What does that mean? You can look at decolonizing your practice. You can look at your own relationship with privilege and power and positionality. This goes into like identity politics, perhaps. And I know that when we talk, and then we again, all of it at once, when we bring this conversation back into a social context, a lot of, and like, don't shoot the messenger. And I'm white. A lot of people in spiritual circles or seeking spiritual fulfillment who are white are often trying to find an answer to an ill-formed question. I'm not saying that you don't deserve to feel and sense that you belong here on earth within your community, whatever that looks like for you. But there is this complexity when we get into talking about things like past lives, reincarnation, living as other life forms, that we then negate our social responsibility today, in the now, in 2026, or whatever year it is when you are watching this. What I will say is this moment comes to you in 2026 and after. That might sound like duh for some, but for others, I do not want you to project this conversation onto a past version of yourself, especially for people dealing with things like white guilt. There's a lot, okay, this message is looking like it's for white people. There's that, if you're not white, take what you take from this message, of course. Talking about white guilt. It can be very easy to slip into the martyrdom narrative when we're talking about whiteness and justice. It's easy to formulate it on, oh, I'm a terrible person because I'm white. I'm a violent person because I'm white. I'm white, therefore I am a colonizer. White, settler, and colonizer are these Venn diagrams that overlap and intersect, right? But it's not necessarily one. Anyway, the complexity's there, right? But it can be easy to feel pressured to take on the responsibility for your bloodline, your lineage. The Three of Wands, the story in Rider-Waite-Smith, is that's when he becomes a conqueror. That's when he's found this new land that he's claiming as his own, and he's sent, and he is sending for his ships to bring over his people. Okay, wow, thank you. So you may project pain onto yourself because you feel bad about colonization. You feel bad for being white. And this can extend to you feel bad for being privileged, which could be identities like your citizenship, your gender, your working status, your class, your financial bubble, whatever it is in our shared collective, physical, 3D society, reality, whatever it is that gives you leverage over others, that leverage may weigh you down. But there's other ways to look at it that don't include martyring yourself and self-sacrifice for the benefit of others. How do we show up as white people in a spiritually led, spiritually active, or spiritually awakened white people when we're trying to also address the polycrisis, is the phrase I'll put to this, because insert here, you know, whatever that issue is may be. What was this? Interesting. The 8 of Pentacles and the 2 of Cups. The 8 of Pentacles in this suit is about the student becoming the teacher. Is learning enough to share the knowledge that he carries, knowing this is just my interpretation now, knowing the lineage that this knowledge will birth. If we talk about knowledge as a life form, is one way I'll phrase it in this one instance, to talk about, you could write I'll just use a very obvious example that we all understand. You could write a book. Once you've published that book, you no longer have control over what people do with that book, over what they believe after having read your words. They could read only snippets and then take you out of context, and then your word is, or your intention, your meaning is removed. And that is the price you pay for sharing your message. It may always be taken out of context. The difference here is sharing your message while being in relation with those engaging. This is so interesting. I joined a 3-month program, and I don't want to say all the details because I've gone to one meeting and I don't want to blast or sell something before I know what it is, but it's people that are addressing the polycrisis through the lens of social justice, being led by someone who wrote a book, and we are asked to read the book and then be joining in conversation. So you may find this message because you found me there. You may have seen my little bio about page, and I said that I also do readings as Tori Hydra. Hello. Hello. But there is something here of the phrase "say it, don't spray it" came out for some reason. But if you're gonna say it, be willing to have a conversation about it. And I think that is a distinction as we're hitting 14 minutes. That is a distinction that we do not have the nuance for on social media at this time. There's no speak and then converse, because we are met with this onslaught of attention in terms of people who have access, ACCESS, people who have access to a keyboard and a data source of some kind. So they're going to send you a word. They're going to write something to you. They're going to comment. They're going to DM. They're going to stitch it and do a something. Like, that is not a dialogue. That is not a conversation. As I said that when it was 1441, and it's that mirror of, it looks like a 4. Yes, a 4, a mirror. You know me, I love 4s. But it's a 5. It's the conflict. But it makes you think it's what you want. What I'm getting is that is not the communication tool that will be used within the new earth. You might not use that language, and that's fine. I'm going to categorize new earth as shit getting better. And us learning better ways to be humans, to relate to one another, to be in relation with Mother Earth, to share our ideas, our wisdom, our knowledge, and be in intentional dialogue and conversation with those engaging with us, inviting in the smoke. Something about those there. Oh, what do we have but the 8 of Swords? We have the 8 of Swords again with the Knight of Cups. So all I'm getting is that as confirmation of, with this sodalite, this communication of this is the path. It's through faith. Having faith in other people. Having faith in humanity. Having faith that not all is lost. I know if you are watching the news, it does not always sell you a story that there is much to have faith in anymore. My God, I wonder if that's intentional. I wonder if they do not want you to have faith, because then that means that they can sell you terror. And when you buy into terror, you negate this space for the nuanced complexity of human, unconditional, not unconditional because boundaries, not human exchange, collaboration. And then breaking down that word, collaborator, collaboration. There's co, being in with, lab, experiment, the orator. Forgive me, I don't have access to my Google right now, but something of, to be an orator of something is to be carrying knowledge, isn't it? Something to that. 4 of Cups, the Chariot, King of Wands, the Emperor, 9 of Wands. Where do you want to go? I don't know yet. We'll get to that. 4 of Cups, this not even seeing the gift that the universe has to give you because you're so torn up by what it is that pains you. You are moving on from that through this Chariot. The change of mindset has already begun for you. If all of what I'm talking about is a new conversation to you, you're not inside this dialogue. And that's fine. That's okay. We are not all in conversation with each other at the exact same moment. That's just not how it works. But with this King of Wands and the Emperor, I'm looking at their hands. They're mirroring that Law and Order I hear. Dun dun, you know? You have made up your mind as the smoke billows over. You have made up your mind that what you are going to do is something. Is to be determined. But this is the awoken queen. Near the end, entering final form. Entering through a deep commitment for action. Even when this action brings turmoil. now. This is a very specific layer to the message of it's not about staying in turmoil. Do you see how these crows are in the air, taunting and tormenting, and he's getting wrapped up in these wires that are on the ground, on earth? It's not letting one state, air, throw you off balance in another state, earth. Even the card feels different, where it's the light up here and this dark. It feels grittier. This is the martyrdom spiral. It is possible to get stuck in this. Now this transitional state, I swear to God, the Seven of Swords. I'm pretty sure I did mention the Seven of Swords at the beginning of this reading. This is what you are this little rodent. Every time, God bless, every time you enter martyrdom state, the Seven of Swords comes and swoops you up and thinks, well, you must be scared and looking for weapons, looking for a way out, an escape, looking to meddle, manipulate, trying to change what is outside of your control so you step beyond your own sphere of influence is one way to say it. But beyond your own limitations. That is what happens when you focus on your suffering. A next step could be the sun. Focusing on what you do have. Now, this goes into laws of the universe, which dabbles through language of manifestation. And if that's not your cup of tea, I'm not here to pour your mug, right? What I will talk about is the power of gratitude, of expressing gratitude, you choose your level, to yourself, to the universe, to your community, your relations. Letting the world around you know that you are grateful to be here. You're grateful for what you have. It could be the physical things that you have. It could be a roof over your head. It could be a car to drive you to get to new places. It could be the people that are in your life. It could be the food that you're going to eat that day. You know, and for people who are new to watching me, I was raised Pentecostal and I left the church 20 years ago, but there's still some Christian-centric things that come out, even though I don't practice or really dabble in that anymore. But what's coming out is the power of saying grace, is sharing grace and gratitude for the food that you are about to eat, especially when you are congregating, when you are sharing food, when you are breaking bread together. Literally, cheers, raising a toast. Now looping that in together. There's still a gap here. Spirit, what is coming through this gap of recognizing your role within colonization, being really, really sad about it? Where's a shift? Where's a motion? Oh, buddy. On bottom, I will say the world. No. What fell first was the tower. A change. A change of mind. And perhaps it is just the story that, yeah, I love this deck. Funny how this lines up. The stories that we tell ourselves. Perhaps you're telling different stories. Now, these need a little PG moonstone. We have the devil, and we have the lovers. I'm seeing here the Tower and the Four of Cups almost touch. Not quite. Not quite today, Patricia. And so the devil being about the contracts that you've signed. We can talk spiritually, we can talk just agreeing to a mindset, agreeing to a paradigm. The change happens because you deconstruct what it is you've agreed to and you make a new choice. The Lovers is about the great choice. I'm seeing of major arcana, we have 4 and 6. We have this before and after to the conflict. But there is an agreeance that change is required. Five of Pentacles. And the Fool. Because there was, I picked it up and it split in my hand a little. And I was like, I know it's that one, but I'm still going to pick from this. And this 5 of Pentacles being, there's still going to be conflict. There is still going to be chaotic energies arising. I'm not saying that just goes away automatically. But you are at this Fool's, this new beginning, at your 9 of Pentacles. You're not starting from the beginning. This is just, again, that second last anamorph stage. This is all happening quickly. What are places that you're going to get stuck? If you fall into martyrdom and if you give in to the fight. Every time you give in to the fight, you give in to that conflict, you're going to have to restart this process again. And there's nothing wrong with that. That just is what it is, because some stuff just is what it is. I'm also just now noticing, I don't know if like all of the cards are in the frame fully or if there's only like part of it, but leave that for what is as your imagination to continue, to grow, not to change or morph or fiddle with the message, but to know you don't have all the answers. You're not going to have all the answers. It will not be laid out in front of you until you are within it. You are embodying. The new earth is how I'll phrase that. Okay. Thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting, if any of this message resonated with you, you can like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to hear from me more often. In the description, you'll find a link to my Substack, which hosts the 444 Collective, which I've constructed as a gathering space, a virtual ecosystem where we can come together and dive into these pieces of reality a little deeper. Stay tuned.